Generating a 3D model with AI is easy now, but rigging and animating without spending hours of manual work is still a big issue. Luckily, there's now a new, completely local and free tool called Mesh2Motion that lets you drop in any model, auto-rigs it in seconds, and lets you pick the animations you want, and export it then straight into Blender or Unreal. I'm going to show you how to one-click install the tool, upload your own 3D model and how to use it effectively. So let's get into it. Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. As always, my name is Philip from Pixel Artistry, and today I'm going to show you the tool Mesh2Motion, which is incredibly easy to install. It can serve as a local Mixamo alternative basically, and it's really straightforward. So let me show you quickly what it is. You can think of it as the missing step in a fully local pipeline, so you can generate, for example, then a model with Trellis2 or Pixal3D, bring it then in here, and you walk out with a rigged and animated character without touching any paid services for the rigging and animation part. And we can also see here on their website basically that you can animate animals, monsters and humans, which is of course really cool. And you have a full 3D animation library and auto rigging tools that we can then use. Here are also some examples of it. So we have 3 ways actually to use it. So we can either use pre-made animations, we can also upload our own 3D model, or we can even use like pre-rigged models so that you upload your own rigged character and then animate it. Another really cool feature is of course that Mesh2Motion also provides all the Blender models and animation files for you to study and improve. So you can basically go in their library and then see how they build up the rigs and so on. And you can even improve or add new animations from the Blender rigs that are provided, because this whole project is completely open source and is running under an MIT license, which is of course amazing, because this means that we can use it commercially as well, and you can use it for your own games without having any doubt that you have to take care of any license and so on. And of course this is built for the open source community, so feel welcome to also contribute to it, to improve the tool of course, and give feedback, for example also on the Discord. So to run the tool, we have actually 2 options. So one is that we can directly try it out on their website without installing anything, which is kind of the easiest way. So you just have to click on the website that I'm going to link here down below. You can just click here on try it out. And then basically we already have here the interface, and you will see that it's very easy to use. We have human animations, but we also have a fox here with different animation for basically each rig character. We even have bird animations, which I think is cool for fly cycles and so on. And you can also have a rest pose or him walking, and this is for multiple characters. So plenty of ways to rig our characters, which is great because basically every model requires its own rig, and here we then have a really good mix. You will also notice that here on the top we have mannequins, so you could also choose other models, for example a zombie over here, so we can replace it. And then you will see that you can also animate directly here a zombie and testing them out on different looks basically, or even this bunny here, where you can see that it's working quite well, I would say. For some parts we still have some crashing here, so you have to play around a little bit with the animations. But basically this is part of the deal how you can use the tool. To then export the animations, you can just select them here, like some of them, and you can even export multiple ones. Then you can click here on download, and then you can also see how the bones should be named, for example in the Mixamo structure or default. Then you can hit here download and then download them for free, and basically then import them into Blender, which I'm going to show you later on as well. So now you might ask how to run it locally basically, and this is also really easy because I created again for you a automatic install file. So it's a one-click basically, because you will see on the Mesh2Motion that they also offer here a Mesh2Motion app, and this is basically enables you then to build and run it locally. So really easy to do, and only thing you need to do basically, and I'm going to link this also down below for you in one of my landing pages, because everything we need is basically this install mesh2motion.bat file over here, which I created. And don't worry, I will put it also for you down below. You will then see that we have here then the install mesh2motion.bat file, and you will see I gave it here a test already. So let's create a new folder just to install the application basically in a new folder so it doesn't overwrite the old one. Then I'm going to copy this one over. By the way, for the Linux guys in our community, I also created an install mesh2motion.sh file, as you can see here. And this one you can then basically run run in your Linux terminal and execute it. And this should then also do the job for you, like with the bat file. So definitely check it out. I will also link it for you down below. So I'm going to copy this one over in a new folder like this. And great thing is you can put this bat file on any random location you would like to basically install it, so that you have it already in place and you don't need to put it on any specific location. It should run out of the box. So once we have that here, you can then double click it, then run it. And then you will see that it's basically installing like Git in case you don't have that yet, but also some other things like, of course, the mesh to motion one and node.js that is also required for this tool. But basically that's all you need to do. You just need to double click it, wait until it finishes, don't close it. And once the installation finished, it will then directly open this browser window for you. It will then saying here localhost and then your number basically where you run it on, and this will then tell you that you run it locally right now, which is of course really cool because now we have it kind of private, you know, and only for our use, which is of course really cool. So only thing which is important is that you leave the window open. By the way, the installation can take up to 10 to 15 minutes, so make sure to not close it or stuff like this. But you see everything worked basically. We have it now here. Alright guys, and to import your own mesh is also really easy. So what you need to do is you go to use your model, and then what you can do is either upload here a reference model, like one of those options that I just showed you before, or we're going to upload here our mesh. And as you can see, it's saying here GAB and FBX preferred, but I gotta be honest with you, in my tests it was always better to use GAB than FBX, because with FBX it created, for me at least, like an issue where it created completely new UVs and then I couldn't attach my material anymore in Blender. So I'm going to choose GAB because then it will directly also keep the material and we have it interactive kind of in our viewport playing, which is really cool. So I'm going to show you this now because, as I mentioned, I created the model here in Tripo, then I exported this as a GAB. And in case you're using Trellis2 Pixal3D in ComfyUI, it will be directly a GAB file, so you won't have any problems with that. So basically what you can do then is simply hit here upload. Then I'm going to import my model, and then you will see it will directly import our character with the material attached, which is really cool. So we can now auto align it to the floor and then, you know, change the orientation so that it's basically facing the front, because you will see when I select here the skeleton template and choose here human, because obviously this is what we need, you will see that the orientation is like this. So basically we will then align it to the orientation we had here. So in case your model is in a different orientation or like this, then you can fix that easily, you know, by going in here, select it then in the correct position, and then you have it like this. You will also notice that here the skeleton is larger than our model, which is also no problem because we can change here the scale of our skeleton. So just make sure that it's roughly in the scale we need. So something like this could already work, kind of like from a 50% scale, maybe a bit smaller. I think 51 already matches quite well, so that's nice. And then we can also, you know, move our character a bit to match it a bit better and aligning with the rig, which is nice. So we're going here to edit skeleton. And you can, by the way, also always go back in time when you would like to readjust things. Always go here back and then you can redo things and fix things in case you need that. So what we can do now, and you might remember this from Mixamo, basically is that we now place our control points here basically, which are then deciding where the bones will be placed. So we can just grab a handle here and then we can place them however we would like to have them. So we can then, you know, place them in space so that they are roughly matching. You will also see that here on the top right we have this reference image that you can make larger and then see where the points should be placed. And you will also notice that we have symmetry over here. So we only need to place them correctly for the right side, and it will be then directly mirrored over to the left side, which is of course also great. You can of course disable this as well here when you disable the checkbox over here, and then you can place it yourself in case you like to, or in case your model is not completely symmetrical. And you will see that you always have a live interaction of, you know, when you place it higher or not, of the weight painting we have currently, which is cool. In case you would like to change the view, you can also do that by going to the textured view, and then we have our mesh here again, you know, with our material applied basically. So I'm going back to meshes. The most trickiest part is always placing the hands correctly. So, you know, we can also adjust this here a bit more. Always check it from all sides, because basically when I now put it here on the right side, it might happen, you know, that it's switching then over a little bit too much on the far right position. and we don't want that. And then once we have placed all bones, I will then go here to finish. And then as you can see, we already have our animated character with our material still attached, which is really cool. And then we can choose basically our animation that we would like to have. So we can have, for example, an up climbing. We can also, you know, where he's doing a jump like this, or, you know, fighting. And a really cool thing is it's completely local free, so super cool that we have such a tool for us. They're working, by the way, also on a tool called Mesh to Motion Desktop. So I hope this comes soon. So stay tuned for that. I will let you know then in my newsletter that you can also join down below for free in case this comes, you know, for you, because I think it would really cool and handy to have a desktop application that we have installed on our PC and that we can go from there and update in case there are new updates from the open source community, basically. What we can do now, for example, is as well that we, you know, then export our animation when we find a nice one. So let's see what we have here. So something like this, for example, is I think pretty cool, you know, as a fight motion. You can also then say here like the percentage, how fast or slow the animation should be. So you can change it here a bit and adjust it how much you want basically the animation to happen. And once you're happy, you can then also export then your animation. So I'm going to check this one. Maybe you can also export multiple ones, which is also cool because you can see you can download a bunch of them at the same time, which is of course really cool when you bring it into Unreal Engine, for example, to then constrain it, add it to a blueprint and then make a playable character out of it with different animation, which is of course really powerful. So you can then click here on download. Then now we can save it. And then once we have here our empty scene, I can then go to File, Import, GLB, and then choosing here the animations. Then I'm going to import them. And then you will see that we have here basically then our animation, which is super cool. So as you can see, this is then our sword animation, and we can then, you know, also view it without it. And this is then our motion. So obviously, you know, as you can see, some movements are not working perfectly, but for your game in certain scenarios, you know, this can be super handy, super useful also to brainstorm or visualize stuff. One thing I noticed here though is that even though I exported multiple animations, as you can see, it only took one for now. I think this is maybe also a bug, you know, that will be hopefully fixed soon. But you can of course also go in here and export them individually and then one by one and name them. So basically that you then have all of them, you know, and then can export them as GLB files and then import into Blender. As a last thing, you could also of course use your own rigged model that you can import here. Then you will see that you can then match, like, you know, the bone naming and so on to then a template that you see here for the different ones, and then can attach it to this, which is of course also really cool to match your bone structure basically and then rig it from there. And I think this is pretty cool. And then actually I really hope you have enjoyed this video. Let me know down below what you think about Mesh to Motion in case you have already tried it yourself or not, and then see you on the next one.